Got me.
What's up guys, today we're taking a look at the Maschinen Pistole WWII or MP40 Gel Blaster. If you've played any World War II video game ever, you'd of course know of the iconic MP40. This Gel Blaster version of it is made by the airsoft manufacturer AGM. I'm borrowing this one here from the South Australian retailer Safari Zoomer Tactical. You can actually buy from Safari Zoomer even if you live up in Queensland, if you don't mind your blaster having a cool little deactivated SA serial number engraved on it. Also in the clips today, you might spot some awesome World War II props. These were lent to me by the guys at Re-Enact SA, so check them out too at the links down below. Speaking of awesome visuals, that's what this blaster is all about. It's a very high detail replica of the real thing. Externals are made of metal, giving the blaster some decent weight to it. 2.8 kilograms is only around 1 kilogram less than the real thing. The handguard and grip are made of plastic, emulating the Bakelite plastic used on the real thing. And depending on which model you buy, it can be either black or this more brown colour. Externally, there is one part that AGM have added to the MP40 that just isn't there on the real thing. If you happen to know what that is, please comment down below and I'll reveal it later on in the video. Just like a real MP40, the stock folds out with a push of this button here on the side, and once fully extended, you can swivel the back of it here for shouldering the blaster. In the gameplay footage you'll see later on, I used it exclusively with the stock collapsed. I just found it easier to sneak around obstacles for a run and gun style of gameplay. You also have a bolt you can play with up top. It feels a little weird though not having a spring return. Instead, it just stays where you put it. It can go fully forward, which is where it would be on the real thing when you fire your last shot. And it can also go back into the sear position where it will be ready to fire on the real thing. And by doing that, it also opens the ejection port on the opposite side of the blaster. But what you can't do is move the bolt any further back and lock it up into this groove here, which is meant to be your safety on the real thing. Not a huge deal breaker though, because you can't HK slap an MP40 anyway. Up top you have your iron sights, both a rear sight and front sight. These are non-adjustable and honestly you won't really use them anyway. The only time I used them was for the accuracy test, which I'll show you later on. The blaster also has two sling points, one at the front left and one at the rear. The included sling doesn't actually fit into the rear sling point though, so I just used it without one. Takedown is just like the real thing. Pull and rotate the blaster's knob at the bottom here, and then the upper simply slides forward and off of the lower. Here you can see the metal gearbox. No quick change spring retainer unfortunately. At the back of the gearbox is where your battery goes. The blaster comes with an 8.4 volt NIMH chemistry battery and a charger that doesn't tell you when the battery is fully charged. So what I'd recommend is getting a LiPo battery instead and using that, since the blaster uses a common mini Tamiya connector, which is the most common connector in all of Gel Ball. With the battery installed, recombine the upper and lower, making sure this dangling part slots into where it needs to reconnect with the knob. Much like the STG-44 that I reviewed a couple of weeks ago, the MP40 here has its inner barrel end about an inch short of the outer barrel. This means it could potentially affect the accuracy by gel balls colliding with the inside of that outer barrel on the way out. And if you unscrew the tip and thread on a hop-up to the 14mm counterclockwise muzzle, gels won't be aligned with that hop-up tongue by the time they reach it. If you want to use a hop-up with this blaster, I'd recommend installing a longer inner barrel. But now, sadly, we have to talk about the magazines. Because to be nice to these, they're absolute garbage. Unlike the rest of the blaster, the mags are made of very cheap and flimsy feeling plastic. I haven't got to the bad part yet though. Unlike most gel blaster mags for AEGs, which use a motor to feed the gels up and into the T-piece, this is more akin to something you'd see in a gas-powered blaster. It has a spring and a follower, which you pull down and then load in some gel balls. It holds around 40 or so shots. You then release the follower and it applies constant tension on the gels to feed them up and into the blaster. There's a couple of issues with that. The first one is that you'll definitely want to be using the hardest gel balls available, so probably Ozgel Ultra Elites. Otherwise your gel balls will get squished before they make it up into the blaster itself. Secondly, 40 shots is a ridiculously low ammo capacity for a gel blaster. You only get around 2 seconds of full auto fire. The mag does have a reservoir in the back where you can add extra gels, and out on the field you could hold down the spring and shake the mag like so, and they'll feed in through a tiny little hole to reload your mag. You can watch me do this quite a few times in the gameplay later on. If you do want to run this blaster in a skirmish setting, I'd definitely recommend picking up a bunch of extra mags. Otherwise you will be sitting there shaking the mag to reload it out on the field like I was. Alternatively, if you have a bit of technical prowess, you could modify the mags to have an electronic motor inside them like one user on Gel Blaster Forum has already done. Now that I have the mag loaded up, let's show you how the blaster fires. At the bottom of the grip, the blaster has an on and off switch. You can also treat that as the blaster's safety. Remember earlier when I mentioned AGM added something to this blaster that isn't there on the real MP40? Well, here it is, a fire select switch. MP40s were full auto only, but on this one you can switch between full auto or semi-auto. I can understand why they did it, particularly in Airsoft. A lot of fields have a rule of semi-auto only, so they would have lost some customers if they kept it full auto only. I just think it would have made more sense to take that on-off switch at the bottom of the grip and make it a three-way switch, so you'd have full auto, semi-auto and off. That way you would have had a much more realistic looking MP40 without a fire select that didn't exist on the real thing. That little rant out of the way, let's shoot this thing over the chronograph. 330, 339, 335, 309, 271, 333, 268, 332, 281, 326. Over the chronograph, straight out of the box, we got a high of 339, a low of 268, and an average of 312. So it appears the MP40 is shooting quite a bit lower than what the STG-44 did from the same company. The MP40 does have a much shorter barrel though, so that probably explains it. So now let's check the rate of fire on full auto on 11.1 volts. On an 11.1 volt LiPo battery, it gets 855 rounds per minute or 14 rounds per second, which is a bit faster than the real MP40's 9 rounds per second. If you want to go for realism, I'd perhaps use a 7.4 volt battery instead. And with a tiny mag capacity of 40 shots, on 11.1 volts you'll get about 2 seconds of full auto fire before having to shake the mag and reload it. So now that we know how hard it shoots, let's see how it shoots for accuracy. Remembering that the inner barrel ends short of the outer barrel, so this could potentially be absolutely terrible like the STG-44 was. We're shooting from a distance of 30 meters at a 1 meter diameter target. From a distance of 30 meters, the MP40 was honestly not bad at all for a gel blaster. It was nowhere near as bad as the STG-44, and despite the inner barrel ending considerably short of the muzzle, it shot a grouping about 1.5 meters wide. A short burst from this thing would guarantee a kill at 30 meters, just like pretty much any other gel blaster. Let's head back inside for some final thoughts, and then I'll end with some gameplay footage. Okay, so what do I think of the MP40 Gel Blaster? Well, it's definitely a high quality replica aside from the addition of a fire select switch that's not there on the real thing, and also the plastic mags are a little bit of a letdown. Everything else though is metal or plastic where it's meant to be, metal on all of the barrel and the upper, and then you've got the plastic which is a replica of Bakelite on the lower. From a practical perspective, if you want to use this in an actual skirmish like I did, you really have to treat it like you would a gas blowback pistol because of the low ammo capacity of it compared to any other AEG. So that means no trying to shoot people that are further than 30 meters, wait till they get close and make sure you shoot at least a short burst at them to make sure you guarantee the kill. In the gameplay you're about to see, I did at some points remove the mag and give it a shake to reload it. It's definitely something you can do out on the field, but it does leave you vulnerable to enemy players while you're doing it. And although it didn't happen to me, I'm sure enemy players will hear you playing the maracas out there and come shoot you while you're trying to reload. But now let's watch my gameplay footage and see if I can get a single kill with it. Hope you enjoy. Actually, I'm gonna pop that stock under. Turn the blaster off.
Nice one.
You did.
How you been anyway, man? Nice to see you.
I stopped you.
Bang wing.
I think I'm calling it a trade.
Yeah, you know, I'm happy with that. None of us got shot in the face. Got me.
Now I must reload. Yeah, we had 2 shots left. Alright. Bet you did not see that coming. Yep. This guy in the white hat decided to be a bit of a joker and start the game already on the field facing our starting point. Since when are you a runner, Stacy? That's okay with me though, because of what happens after I respawn.
Way down at the end, slightly to the left, about 10 o'clock.
Yep.
Behind the barricade.
We'll suppress him so he can move.
Yeah.
Ready? 3, go.
Fucking did, yeah. Sucked in, Stacy. Oh shit, we're empty. Okay. Hee. Ah, my mag went dry.
Gotta say, man. I checked to see if you hit me on.
That's it for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay. Click on my profile icon to sub to the channel, and here's 2 other videos that you might enjoy, including the STG 44 video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.